guys, welcome back to the studio. It's been a while, but today we have a Kia K5 in the studio for paint protection film. As you can tell, it has a matte or satin finish. So in this video, we're going to be talking about this type of paint job, how we're going to protect it, and why it's so crucial you should invest in paint protection for your matte or satin finish car. Okay guys, before we do PPF on the car, of course, we got to wash it first. So we're going to do a quick two-step process on the wheels. We're going to foam up the car with a degreasing soap, get it washed, bring it in, blow dry everything, and prepare the surfaces for the paint protection film. So let's get started. For those of you that are unfamiliar with what paint protection film is, or PPF, this here is a small piece. It is crystal clear. We're going to take this backing sheet off, and this super thin 8mm pliable piece of plastic, polyurethane plastic basically, is what's going on the vehicle. It's super strong, and it does very, very well at stopping rock chips. Now, it's not to say that this is bulletproof, because everything has a weak point, but this stuff is extremely resilient. It has a self-healing layer, so if it gets scratched with just a heat gun, hair dryer, or even the heat from the sun, the surface will heal itself and there'll be no swirl marks in it or light scratches. So that is a very big attribute of paint protection film, and is honestly why I decided to PPF my entire car. I have a black car and everything, you know, I don't want it swirled out or anything. So this is the best protection that you can put on your car if you don't want rock chips or swirl marks, scratches, or damage from high impacts. For the sake of this conversation, there are two types of paint protection film. You have clear and you have your satin or matte. You don't want to take a gloss PPF and put it on the matte finish, because it will turn it glossy. And I'll even show you a section on this car where the factory or the dealership had actually put gloss PPF in one of the rocker panels. So that was not the right choice. And you can see the difference. This one is glossy and this one has that matte finish to it. This film has a matte look to it, and this is what will go on a matte finish car, so that it does not change the look of it whatsoever. But what is also a common option for people is, a lot of people like this really nice matte finish, but maybe they don't want to repaint their whole car like this. You can actually take a matte film and put it on a gloss car, and that's going to make it look matte. And that, you know, if you ever want to replace the wrap or sell the car, but you don't want the keep it matte, you can always rip the film off and give it back glossy. Okay guys, so I'm going to demonstrate how to fit this pattern of PPF onto this front bumper. It's not too terribly hard. PPF is basically a flexible film, and we have to take this flat flexible film and mold it to all the curvatures on the car. This is about the same complexity of trying to take a piece of paper and wrap it around a basketball and not have all these little fingers right here. So basically PPF is like it's a puzzle that is like you have to stretch it to get it in place. So you see these vertical fingers here. Basically we got to stretch it left to right to get these fingers out. So if I stretch it to my right, you see the fingers get smaller or they just go away altogether. So because we've already fitted the passenger side of the bumper, we got to go ahead, I can't stretch to the left, so I have to go to the right. But we have to try to line it up the best that we can. So I'm looking at this point right here, trying to get it lined up. And this actually needs to come down some, about right there. And that's exactly where we want that piece of film at. I want to go ahead and try and put this in place. I'm going to take a little bit of my alcohol mixture. I'm just going to spray it on the underside there. So we'll try and get it tacking. Now some of these fingers, like right here, we're not going to be able to get them out while there's still moisture behind the film. This is why you kind of have to wait for the film to dry. This is also why sometimes paint protection film, even if it's a small piece as simple as a bumper, it could take several hours, or it can honestly go up to overnight into the next day. But if you start PPF early enough in the day, if you're able to, you should be able to get most pieces out same day. If it's just one or two or three pieces. We started about midday on this Kia, and my plan is to have all of these pieces laid on the car before we head home today. So we've already done the passenger fender, we're doing the bumper now, and then we just have to do the hood and the fender over here. And then we're gonna come in tomorrow and basically trim up anything that needs to be trimmed up, wrap anything that needs to be wrapped, lay down all these little fingers here. The alcohol is, I'm trying to use it to flush out some of the soap, and the alcohol will start to tack down the film. It'll start to activate the adhesive. Okay, so we've kind of worked this whole part here. Get all of that moisture right there out. The film I'm using right now does not have a strong adhesive during this part of the install. This is some leftover matte film that I have of another brand that I don't even use anymore. And I use something with stronger adhesive now. Okay, so now we got to do this part right here, which isn't too terribly hard, but we have all this right here in one piece. This pattern had the option of basically three-piecing it, so all of this here would have been one piece, and this section like right here, 1, 2 for the other side, would have been the separate pieces, and it would have seamed somewhere down here in a kind of a inconspicuous area. But this bumper isn't too terribly hard, so that's why I wanted to just do it all in one piece. The customer will appreciate it being in one piece as well, so we try to do a one-piece install where possible. So we're going to go ahead and line that part up right here. I want to get this part here lined up too. We kind of need a little bit more, well, no, we don't need any more slip. So right here at my edges, I like to peel it back just a little bit, spray my alcohol so it'll go ahead and start tacking down right here. see a small piece of trash over here. I felt it with my hand, and it's the tiniest piece of sand. Bam, and I just pulled it out. I don't know how well you'll be able to pick it up on the camera, but I'm rubbing it in my hand right now. We're going to stick that back. There we go. I'm going to pull this part back so I can get this little air pocket out. Just want to shoot some alcohol in there. Boom, just like that. This is definitely a patience game, and you have to know how to read the PPF. It tells you what it likes, what it doesn't like, and where it wants to go and where it doesn't want to go. So now down here, we'll try to line this up where we need it. I'm actually going to put some alcohol down here because I really want this area to attack. I'm going to be pulling against it in just a moment. Now we just need to stretch this in place. And we're going to stretch it in place where it needs to be, about right there. You see how it's already kind of starting to tack, which is exactly what I want. Right there. Just going to hold it with my finger. I'm going to go ahead and get all this air out and moisture. Try to squeegee it in place. Okay, so now we need to put this where it needs to be. Let's try to line it up right there. Let's shoot just a little bit of alcohol back there so we can promote tacking. Now we need to wrap the underside of it. We'll just going to wrap it around the edge the best we can for now, and we'll come back later and we'll finish it out down there and make sure it's lined up as well. And that's pretty much it. And now we just kind of have to wait for the film to dry, and then we can wrap our edges, lay down any leftover fingers, and do any trim work that might be necessary. So right now, I'm just spraying gel. This is not diluted. I like to use gel on my panels because it keeps the film from drying out, and if there is any trash or debris by any chance. So what you just saw me spray is gel, and I prefer to use gel whenever I do my installs, because it keeps my film from drying out, like my slip solution. It makes it super easy for me to reposition, and it also stops like a lot of debris from running out of the cracks and crevices. So right now I'm just going to line up the film at my tack points, which up here is 1. We're going to tack that down. I like to line this up down here, so I'm actually going to spray a decent amount of alcohol to flush the panel. I'm going to pull the PPF down slightly to line it up, and I'm going to go ahead and squeegee it down in place. I did make this pattern slightly larger, that way I don't have alignment issues. So right here, ever so slightly, I will need to put a relief cut so that the film will be able to fold on the other side of this mud flap right here. And we'll go back in later and we'll trim off that bit. So now we have these fingers up top as well as some fingers here. So we need to stretch the film to finish putting it in place. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just spray some alcohol on that tip right there. And now we're just going to push the pattern in place about right there. So I have a tack point right here. Then we're going to bring that in place as well. There we go. And now we just bring everything down. Like I said, PPF is a stretching puzzle, and as long as you can read the PPF, you can, install paint protection film with a lot less difficulty. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna flush a lot of that out and just have straight alcohol in here. or diluted alcohol rather. So now let's go ahead and get over this little body line for the fender, like so. So now we just need to wait for this to dry, or we could take something like hot distilled water and we can, flush that and then go ahead and start wrapping it around. Right now it is kind of wet, so I'm just going to leave it where it's at. We'll come back later and finish that out. Okay guys, today is day 2 of the service. I have already finished everything off camera. So what we've done is the hood, the fenders, headlights, and the front bumper. And we've already laid everything. We've tucked it, wrapped it, and done all of our trim work. So the car is ready to go back to the owner. But before we do that, just kind of want to go through and talk about why this is so important to have PPF on a matte finish paint job. It's so important because this is such a special type of paint, and there are things that need to be taken into consideration if you're going to be choosing a matte or satin finish on your car. That is why paint protection film is your best and only option to protect your matte or satin finish paint job from high impacts and scratches. I understand paint protection film is very expensive up front. It's what shies a lot of people away from this type of service. But again, if you have this type of paint job, you have no other option than to get paint protection film on here to protect it and save you a lot of headache in the future. All right guys, reason number 1 why you need to invest in protection for your matte or satin finish paint job is the obvious. This is a premium option paint job. You are paying thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars, for this type of paint job. I've seen matte colored paints go anywhere from $5,000 to $9,900 for the whole car as an add-on option from the dealership. So keep that in mind. Another thing is not every body shop or paint shop is going to be able to give you a good paint job whenever it comes to a matte or satin paint. It does require special materials and techniques, and not everybody knows how to do that. Another thing is there is a less margin for error on these cars, because if there is an imperfection in the paint work, they can't just sand it and blend it out. They're going to have to repaint the entire thing. So these are a few things to take into consideration with why you need to invest in properly protecting your matte or satin paint. Another reason why it's so important to invest in protection for your matte or satin paint job is because once you take possession of this car, it's going to be exposed to life and the environments that you put it through. So dings and scratches and all this kind of stuff can still happen to this car as it would happen to any other car. But the biggest difference is if you get a scratch in this matte paint job, nobody can buff that out for you. They can't sand it, they can't buff it, and it look like how it does right now. And that's because if you try to buff on a matte or satin paint job, you're going to turn it glossy. And it doesn't take a lot of effort to turn this matte finish into a gloss paint. So that is one reason why it's so important to protect this car, this type of paint work, as soon as possible, as soon as you take possession of it. Another reason why this type of paint is so difficult to paint is because it doesn't just depend on the color that they're spraying. It also depends on the texture, or the orange peel if you will, that gives this matte finish. You see, this surface is not smooth. It's actually got peaks and valleys in this paint that is diffusing the light and bouncing off everywhere, and that is why it gives us this nice satin matte look. So that is another reason why this is a very hard paint job to do. Well, there you have it, guys. That is everything you need to know about paint protection film and how it is the absolute best choice whenever it comes to protecting your paint work, and specifically matte or satin paint. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below in the comment section. I'll reply to everybody. If you have any additional insight on matte paint jobs specifically, also please leave that down in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.